the next couple of weeks, we're going to put the spotlight on the startup incubators and co-working spaces with the aim to understand different models that presently exist in the market. So on the show today, we put the spotlight on Nexus, a New Delhi-based incubator program at the American Center, and 3 of the startups that have graduated from it. Roadbound, it's a Pune-based startup that detects road conditions using just a smartphone. Mafia, an online 3D printing service platform for rapid prototyping and customized manufacturing. And Escrow, which offers consumers an escrow account for real estate transactions. Let's start by taking a look at the co-working accelerator and incubator space in India. As per data from Traction, we have 98 active accelerators and incubators in India and 177 co-working startups. Now, interestingly, 12 of these accelerators are VC-backed, which basically means that startups part with some equity for participating in the program. Now, apart from the marquee long-standing incubators run by the IITs and the IIMs, the data also shows the emergence of several new startup incubator programs that are run by the government and academic institutions since the launch of the Atal Innovation Mission in 2016. So on the show today, we bring you the story of Delhi-based incubator called Nexus, which is a US State Department initiative that runs out of the American Center in New Delhi. Founded in 2017, Nexus is run in collaboration with the University of Texas, Austin, and serves as a business incubator for startups. Take a look.
Our mandate here, in part, at least in public diplomacy, is to provide opportunities for Indians and Americans to share best practices. 3 years ago, that there was a tremendous need for quality, effective incubators. And the U.S. government's perspective is that not only are we advancing entrepreneurs, small and medium enterprises here in India, but we're also providing opportunities for American companies to partner with Indian startups, to use Indian startups, and several of these Nexus alumni have become suppliers for American companies doing business here. So it's good for the bilateral economic relationship.
Technology incubator, we're a business incubator. And it's anything that startups need from A to Z to get them up and being sustainable. So what we do is we have a 10-week pre-incubation program, which is a very intense physical program here at Nexus. And the topics we cover would range everything from marketing, from value proposition, to intellectual property, to doing your finances, funding, how to pitch for funding, everything, and also market validation, going and talking to your customers. So in this 10 weeks, we try to cover the basics of what you need as a startup to make sure that you're investable ready or that you're sustainable on your own sense. Now, we do look at early stage startups, but they do have to be past the ideation stage. So usually we look at startups that have a prototype, either a lab prototype or an industrial prototype. They may have customers or they're just about to have customers, but before industrial or investment funding. So if they've already gotten VC type funding, venture capital funding, at that point they're probably too late for us. But we do want something after the prototype, right around revenue, but before institutional funding.
Nexus is a sector-agnostic incubator, and since its inception in 2017 has run 5 cohorts and graduated 57 startups across sectors like fintech, hardware, retail technology, IoT, and even social impact. One such startup from the second Nexus cohort is Pune-based Roadbound, founded in 2016 by Ranjit Deshmukh. Roadbound has developed a sensor technology that sits on a smartphone and detects poor road conditions, geotagging potholes and rough road patches as it goes along. Having surveyed over 40,000 kilometers of roads in Maharashtra and Telangana, Roadbound works closely with municipal corporations across the country and is now even exploring opportunities in North America. Here's their startup story.
Come from a very solid technological background. This is my third startup. My first startup I did in year 2002 and it was a success. My second startup was a failure, so we lost good amount of money into that. And this is my third one. We are Roadbound. have basically developed software platform, a technology using which you can survey roads for potholes and accident spots using just a smartphone. We present this as a service to different government departments. We send our own people to do the service, and we give them an online portal where they can log in and they can just check how their road condition is. We can survey an entire state for potholes within just a couple of weeks. Presently, there are 4 options which government has. First option is they have a 25-year-old mechanical technology. Second is they use laser ultrasonic-based, radar-based instrument. That is most accurate, but it costs a lot. And it costs even to survey the road. Like we have seen some estimation where it requires more than the cost of road repair for doing the survey. And third is crowdsourcing. Many of the social bodies or public bodies have launched their own applications where they are requesting citizens to take a photograph of pothole and report back. But that's a very, very non-scientific method. Primarily collect data from 4 different components. One component is the vehicle vibration itself. Secondly, we also collect traffic data and we buy it from third parties. For instance, if you are using Google Maps, then you see traffic congestion onto certain areas. So we analyze this traffic congestion data for every 100 meters for a month-long duration during peak hours, off-peak hours, weekdays, weekends. And then we come up with our own traffic density index, which is an indicator as to how much traffic is there on that 100 meters. Third is we also do visual inspection. Similar to what you mentioned, we also capture video wherever required. Our team is 15. We are 15 people sitting in Pune. We work out of Maharashtra. And we have our own development team within this 15. So around 9 people are doing software development. We write our own software. We test our own software. We had our own operations team, but we realized that we cannot be the only service provider within India because that would be kind of creating some sort of monopoly. Because if government is buying certain service, then they need to have competitive environment where multiple people are bidding for that solution. Right? If we are the only one, then there is no way we can do business with government. So actually we don't do the service by ourselves right now. We appoint agencies, and there are multiple agencies within India which are providing this survey service to government. So there is also competition with the newer technology. Right now, we have got very good response from Maharashtra and Telangana, so we are operating actively in these 2 states. Even in Telangana, there was this GES summit last year when Ivanka Trump and everyone. So the municipal corporation over there called us before the summit. We did a survey, and based on our results, they actually fixed the roads. In Maharashtra, we have surveyed more than 40,000 kilometers till now. We are also surveying India's first expressway, that is the Pune-Mumbai expressway. We do it every 3 months, so we report them all the problems which is there. Something we have started recently. So our product roadmap is we want to expand this technology to multiple states within India, at least to start with. And then secondly, we also need to look at how we can crowdsource this information for international market as well. Because when I presented this to Canada Ministry of Road Transport, or I even talked to certain US municipal corporations, they all recognize that this is a worldwide problem. They also do not have cheaper and better tools to collect road condition database. So that is going to be on our radar.
You're watching Young Turks, India's longest running show on startups and entrepreneurship. I'm Shireen Bhan. On the show today, we've been putting the spotlight on Nexus. It's an incubator program housed at the American Center in the capital. It's run in conjunction with the University of Texas, Austin. Now, this is a sector-agnostic incubator, and since its inception in 2017, has run 5 cohorts and graduated 57 startups across sectors like fintech, hardware, retail technology, IoT, and even social impact. Startups across these 5 cohorts have raised about $3.4 million in funding, and 27 commercial or business deals have been signed with various US companies. Now, what does the Nexus team have planned next? Let's find out.
startups that are in our cohort have raised over $2 million in outside investment. They've had over $2.5 million in incremental revenue they've had after they've passed through Nexus. They've had several deals, many different deals with organizations and companies in India and in the United States. So these are all kind of very distinct, specific goals that we like to see that shows the practical aspects of what we teach right now.
Two new initiatives. I'm sure that you've heard a little bit about them. One is to share the Nexus experience across South Asia. This includes Bangladesh, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and Nepal. But we also want to expand to women entrepreneurs, and I think that's a tremendous importance. So we have a new program called Aspiring Women Entrepreneurs, and they ultimately will go for a 2-week program in Texas. But we'd like to expand beyond that. We also like to incorporate and bring in more women from Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities.
For us in the U.S. government, we're not here to compete with other incubators. We'd really like to show the best practices. And one of the things that we do is we have incubator management training. So we would like to expand that because that is a goal of the government of India to have many more incubators. And what we've seen is that the incubator practices are very different than what we would have incubator practices. So for us to be able to show those to the incubators, that is a way we can scale up the impact in a very large way. If we train 10, 15, 20 incubators per cohort and have 3 or 4 cohorts of incubator managers per year, and then they will go out and have 30 or 40 companies per incubator, I think that's one of the best ways that we can scale this up and have the impact the U.S. government wants. Right now we are sector agnostic, so we'll choose from all different sectors. But there's been some very interesting talk about developing a side program that is sector specific. Renewable energy was one that we were looking at. Water, which is water sanitation, and water savings is another question. So health, agriculture, these are all different sectors that we're very interested in and that we think that could indeed support its own type of incubator for entrepreneurs at early stage. So we're looking into that. Right now we're sector agnostic, but stay tuned.
So what does the Indian Air Force, Nestle and HPCL have in common? Well, they all use the services of Delhi-based startup Mafia for rapid prototyping and 3D printing of customized parts and packaging. Founded in 2015 by Manya Jha and Sushil Baranwal, while in their second year of college, Mafia has created a steep growth curve as a services and design consultancy platform. Recognized by DIPP Startup India program, Mafia is pushing the Make in India agenda. Here's their story.
We started when we are 2 founders, and we started when we were in college. So we were doing our second year, in our second year of our MBA. So that year it was, the revenue was approximately 30,000. And the next year we made approx 7 lakhs, and that's when we came to Nexus, and the third year that we crossed, or we're about to cross, we've already made 40 lakhs. Mafia is a 3D printing services company for businesses to access manufacturing of prototypes and custom parts on demand. We very closely work with R&D departments and product development departments of companies ranging from startups to Fortune 500 companies. And we help them go to market fast. We reduce their lead time, and we do small batch production for them. That's what we do. We do not have a complete in-house facility. What we do is we utilize nationwide network of 3D printing facilities to fulfill the orders. We handhold our customers. We get in customers, we handhold them through the consultancy, through the designing processes, and then when the orders are converted, we direct them to qualified vendors across India. We have served 200 plus customers, and we have completed over 1,000 plus new product development projects. And to name a few of our customers, we have served Indian Air Force. We are right now working with Indian Navy in collaboration with IIT Delhi. Nestle is our ongoing client. We are registered vendors of companies like Mahindra Defense, Reckitt Benckiser, to name a few. So when we work with these companies, we generally work with their R&D departments or new product development teams. So say for example, if we talk about Indian Air Force, we help them develop a working prototype of their missile which they use for their training purposes. But for companies like Nestle, we are their registered vendors for their R&D partners of their packaging department. So what we do there is sometimes we start right from the concept of their hard packaging development. We do their prototype and we also do their small batch productions which goes in the testing. The industrial grade 3D printing vendors that we have 10 plus across India. So 3 of them are in Delhi, we have them in Bangalore and we have them in Nasik as well. So there's this government cluster, Nasik engineering cluster, which also does some of our work. And if you talk about the vendors that hold desktop 3D printers or the small 3D printers, we have say 15 plus of them.
Well, here's wishing Mania the very best of luck and welcome to the Young Turks community. Moving on, let's bring you the Escrow story. Founded by Ashwin Chawla, Escrow is bringing accountability and transparency to real estate transactions across the board. Powered by ICICI Bank, Escrow's proprietary technology enables parties in any real estate transaction to protect their interests via an escrow account. How does it work and why do we need this in India? Let's find out.
The real estate sector is one of the largest running industries in India, and what actually stalls the entire industry is that it is it's fairly fragmented. It's not organized. The government is trying its best to actually create a plan like the RERA Act. Fact is that only talks about the primary market. The huge or the bigger sector is the secondary market, because that's, I would say, 100 times bigger than the primary market. So when people buy and sell real estate, the biggest fear for them is, for the buyer, is to actually lose the advance that one pays at the time of signing the agreement. And for the seller, the biggest fear is his property title. So while you are taking an advance as a seller, you don't know whether the balance 90% would actually flow into the deal and whether the deal will be successful. Our product actually tries to insulate the buyers and the sellers from possible litigation. It is very important that one is able to set up an escrow account online without having to move out of his house or his office. How we help is that the compliances, the background, the major tech is of the bank, and at the front end, the branding, the customer acquisition, the handling of the escrow, the movement of funds, everything is done by us. So under the contract, if the users actually log on to the platform, they upload their KYC's documents, and obviously that actually sets up the entire escrow, which is online. So I think if you go to a bank today and seek an escrow account, firstly they may not choose to actually service you, because there is a lot of engagement in terms of time, flexibility requirement of the users, which the banks don't have time actually, and it's obviously financially unviable. How we do is that because we have spent heavily on the technology bit, we have dropped down the adoption of escrow as a charge to a flat fee of 5,000 rupees plus GST. And the adoption has been phenomenal, and people are actually loving the product, because it's just like, buying an insurance, and it almost took 9 to 10 months to convince ICICI Bank, actually being the largest private sector bank in India, to actually join hands with us and open up their technology. With our thoughts process, the kind of sketching that we had on the product, we merged our ideas, and almost a year later, that's what we see Escrow for today. Each transaction is audited, but I think once you talk about the hurdles, there is one hurdle that has just come to fore, generally, not only for our business, but for any of the wallets business. If you've been reading, the KYC, the customer acquisition, in terms of the know your customer norms laid down by the RBI. So that, I believe, is good, that the government is actually forcing the integration of the government mechanism, whether it is the UIDAI or whether it is the PAN, because the property transaction is very large. To give you an idea, the minimum transaction that we've so far concluded on our platform is almost 230,000 US dollars, so that actually comes to almost 1.5 crores in value. It's not a small transaction. So whether it is the KYC or the proper audited process, and we're going to be a patent technology very soon. We have filed a patent as well. We are DIP registered. we are part of the various member associations, basically to make them aware that such a product is deeply needed in the market. There's a crying need for it, and we have taken the first step actually to bring the product into the market. Having said that, we've got 4 verticals, which is we are trying to reach out to property consultants, which are individual and work on a corporate level. Companies like Sotheby's, companies like Remax, companies like Coldwell Banker in India, so on, the large ones. Then the second vertical we have is with wealth managers, family offices, people who advise people to how to, utilize capital and create kind of a wealth management account for them. That's our next segment. The third vertical is banks and housing finance companies, where banks are actually, when they lend out as a mortgage, it is important that they make sure that the property title is secure and both the buyer and the seller don't enter into any litigation. So by virtue of using the escrow account at the back, it can ensure that obviously there is no litigation and the money is safe of the bank as well as the transaction of the user. So that's our third vertical. The fourth obviously is other banks that we are tying up with for, we want to give a choice to the consumer to have a kind of a drop-down menu to choose which bank they wish to open the escrow account with. Phenomenal business. We've just signed an alliance with Remax, which is worth $375 million over the next 12 months. And we believe that 3,000 transactions should actually flow out of that association over the next 12 months. We are in touch with all portals, which is 99 Acres, Square Yards, PropTiger, Housing.com, all these ones, to actually try and work out a solution in which escrow could be in fact integrated onto those portals. Anybody trying to buy or sell real estate, they could start an escrow right there.
With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Young Turks. Do tell us what you thought of our show. You can write to us. youngturks@nw18.com is our email address. You can also ping us on Facebook and Twitter. Our handle is @CNBC Young Turks. Till next time, from all of us here on the team, goodbye and many thanks for watching.